Hello and welcome to our first ever weekly Winol podcast. I'm your host, Mariella Southern, and today I'm joined by...
Hiya, my name's Isobel Jones.
My name's Connor.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Johnson.
We have 4 stories for you today. Many myths surrounding driving have been debunked. Hampshire's roads are covered in potholes. A local band performed here at the University of Winchester last night, and Apple users in the UK will no longer benefit from its highest level of data security. So, Isobel, would you like to tell us a little bit about your story this week, the driving myths?
Yeah, of course. So the Automobile Association, or you might know them as the AA, a lot of people do, they've recently debunked the most common and well-known driving myths, and I think there's a lot of them. A lot of people think they know a few things about driving which are actually fine or they're not fine. So I debunked the top 3, which is, can you eat whilst you drive? What shoes you can wear whilst you drive? And also, I don't know if you remember your parents telling you about that light on the inside of your car.
Yeah.
And they said, don't turn that on, I'll get arrested when you were younger. Well, it's actually legal, so you can actually turn it on, as long as you're not causing any catastrophe by doing so.
I think the screaming from my mum as a result of turning it on was definitely more distracting than the light itself.
Scarred for life, like.
A lot of these myths then, is it more just guidance?
Yeah, sort of, I guess. I mean, there is some that are genuine facts. There is a really interesting one that I found out, which I didn't include this week. But do you know how some people have those massive fuzzy dice hanging on their rearview mirror?
Yeah, pet
Like
peeve.
Are they? Well, you can actually get failed on your MOT for those.
Really?
If you have something obstructing your view on that rearview mirror that's over 4 centimetres, you can fail your MOT. However, typically, the person doing your MOT will be nice and tell you, take it off before I do the MOT. But you can actually get failed for it, which is quite interesting, actually.
But I suppose people will have like sort of air freshers on as well, so I suppose that sort of goes with the same thing as well, blocking their view, maybe.
If it's bigger than 4 centimetres, then yeah, it's mental. Literally everyone has all sorts of different things on there.
My dad's always been a bit of a car snob. He said, nothing dangling on the mirrors. He would never let us eat in the car, crumbs, but I think that was just more his own personal preference than any sort of rules.
You'll get arrested. Careful. No nice smelling cars.
I saw my parents saying just don't distract us, because I suppose you get put off easily and it sort of doesn't help it. So get put off the road, I suppose, as well. Yeah,
well, funnily enough, that's one of the main reasons why the interior light thing is something that isn't illegal, but you can, I don't know if I said this, you can actually get pulled over for it. Only if, for example, the police think that it's making you distracted, because the light can actually reflect off of the windscreen and it can reflect back and dazzle you, or especially at night time it can distract you and you can't get the full view of the road, because obviously driving is such a dangerous thing unless you're careful, which is it's pretty crazy, to be honest. But shoes again, you can't wear high heels, obviously, because who can drive in high heels? Your feet get stuck.
Quite impressive, I think, if you could.
Yeah, do you know what, real? But
I'm
it's
not
actually
even good
illegal.
driving in normal shoes.
Do you know what, neither? It's actually illegal though to drive in high heels. Any shoes that sort of stop you using the controls are also illegal.
What about wedges? A little sandal?
Definitely not. No, they're similar to high heels, because you can't reach the pedal as well. Same with, for example, those trending Ugg Tasmans, because they've got no support on the back. Your feet can slip out. You can't drive with sliders on. Crocs.
I think
flip-flops.
Flip-flops not allowed.
You can't, I don't think.
No, but Crocs, very similar. You can actually drive with them because there's a bit of a loophole, because they've got the safety strap on. As long as you flipped
sport
it,
mode.
Sport mode.
As long as they're in sport mode, you're fine. You're actually legally able to drive with them, so which is interesting.
Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that with us, Isobel. Now let's go to you, Connor, about your story this week: potholes on Hampshire roads.
Yeah, so I assume most of you drive here, or sort of walk a lot of places, so you might notice that.
She's still got the green licence.
So I suppose you might notice that there's sort of a lot of sort of hazardous things on the road. So you've got potholes, you've got uneven even uneven pavements, people can walk along, can trip over, can hurt themselves.
Yeah.
So sort of Hampshire County Council, sort of a lot of people sort of wrote into them saying, oh, you need to sort of increase your spending or increase your budget, but they've tried to. So they have about £50 million budget sort of every year, which they can allocate to repairing the roads and pavements, but it sort of doesn't even I think it's about a tenth of it. So I think 10 times the budget. It's about £50 million at the moment. Then about 500 million to repair all the roads in Hampshire, which is about I think, over 5,000 miles. Across. So it's not. Don't think it's very easy, but it's sort of the case of trying to sort of get through it all and then sort of make it safe for people to use as well. Makes it more enjoyable for drivers as well.
I've definitely noticed a lot more
100%.
recently.
I was going to say, what do the residents have to say about it? Are they annoyed or?
Yeah, I suppose because they sort of people, if there's, let's say if a pothole outside someone's drive or even in a parking spot, people won't go there because they might get scared, they might get a puncture. So people go outside and park outside people's drives, and it sort of just doesn't aid residents, and it sort of hinders people from going out and wanting to sort of be on the road more.
Yeah, no, it's very frustrating, especially when you're driving over it and you don't expect it, you don't see it coming in, or when you have to swerve out the way. I find that's the most annoying thing ever, because I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm putting myself in danger here from swerving from a pothole, but
I think
it's ridiculous.
definitely depending on the kind of car you have. I know my little Peugeot 107 definitely fills the potholes.
I said, well, my Peugeot last week got a puncture from a pothole, so
Oh.
sort of I was meant to go somewhere to film something and just couldn't because my car had a puncture from a pothole.
That's so frustrating.
I guess it's a little pleasure that's getting punctured.
So when is the next financial year? I know you mentioned.
It starts. I think it's start of April, so not so not too far away. But they're sort of saying about the budget's about once again about 50 million. So they've already added about 22 million to it. So it's sort of I think over 180,000 potholes were repaired across the last across between 2023 and 2024. So it's a case of sort of increasing that every year and trying to go a bit like little by little, I suppose.
And it sounds like a huge amount of money, but I guess we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah,
Let's see. We'll see for ourselves how much they really
fingers
have
and toes
improved.
crossed. However, roadworks are really annoying.
Yeah.
Imagine that they decide to fix all the potholes, but oh no,
Well,
you can't drive
yeah,
down
very
any roads
true.
whilst they're fixing it.
Like a burst like pipe or something, you can't
Yeah.
go through the road anyway.
I mean, especially in Winchester at the moment, you can't get anywhere, which is
They've just had the
frustrating.
week closure coming out of the city, but I think
Yeah.
that's done now. Well, thank you for that, Connor. Now we'll move on to your story this week, Rebecca. Can you tell us about the local Winchester band you went to see last night?
Yes, of course I can. So I went to go see a band called Cheap Faith. They are incredible. They have more of kind of like a rockier vibe. Unfortunately, I didn't include this in my post, but they did mention that the inspiration and collaboration that they would like to do is with bands like MCR and Metallica. So if you're into that, go ahead and give them a listen. They are performing at the Railway pub in Winchester on Thursday, as well as also Heartbreakers venue in Southampton as well.
Great. So what does the band sort of look like? Girls, boys, how many members?
There's a mix between there's the lead singer who is Jet, incredible vocals, 10 out of 10 would recommend, and then you have Alex on bass, and then there's like 4 other males in the band. So yeah,
Do they
Great.
do they create their own music or do they do covers?
they do create their own music, yes, and they've also said that they will be releasing new songs in the future.
Have they got any EPs or albums out?
Unfortunately, no, but apparently they are looking into doing that. So
That's exciting.
stay tuned, everyone.
Can they
We'll
be-
watch this space.
Yeah, can they
Watch
be
the
found
space.
on Spotify and Apple Music and everything? Or
They can be found obviously on Instagram, but unfortunately they aren't on Spotify and Apple
okay.
Music at the moment.
what about YouTube? Are they on YouTube?
I think so.
What, so they sort of made up of like students, or is it just people from the local area?
Yes, they are students actually. I am grateful to obviously know one of the members of the band, and he's obviously taking a master's in music. So
Are they all
Helps.
sort of doing music-based degrees?
yes, they are actually.
What's one of their song names?
Ooh. The one that I really, really liked when they performed was Sink and Swim. It was more kind of like upbeat, like rockier, and that was just beautiful. But then again, oh my god, I can't remember the name right now, but it was one of their more slower songs, but oh my gosh, they had like a moment where like they put up like fairy lights, and everyone had the torches
Aw.
up, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful
That's
moment.
really sweet.
Do you know if we can expect them to be performing at the university again anytime soon?
Yes, they did mention something, I think in May, of course. Obviously that's during exam time, so
Yeah.
obviously a lot of exams and things coming out, so yeah.
Oh, that'd be a nice way to
Well,
relieve some
keep a
stress.
lookout if
Look
that's
forward to
your
it.
kind of vibe.
Exactly.
Shall we move on to my story this
Yes.
week then?
So
A
what's
pretty
yours
big
about?
one.
Oh.
So, I don't know if you've heard of advanced data protection, but it basically means through end-to-end encryption, data on the iCloud is only accessible to the owner of the iCloud account. So even Apple can't access such documents like photos, etc. But due to demands from the government, there will now be a way for law enforcement or Apple to access such data if they need to, for example, for legal reasons. So the main concern here is around child safety and the sharing of illegal material, because the end-to-end encryption is potentially making it easier for criminals to sort of get away with this sort of activity. Apple have stated that they're disappointed that advanced data protection will no longer be available to Apple users in the UK. They've stated that before they've never wanted to make sort of a backdoor or master key to access people's data, but due to government demands, advanced data protection will be disabled. But many services will still be protected through end-to-end encryption, so FaceTime calls, iMessages, and it's some people, some companies aren't keen on this, and they think it could, while it will be beneficial to allow in law enforcement if they have a warrant when needed, some companies think it could make data more vulnerable to breaches.
What's the difference then between advanced data protection and general data protection?
So advanced data protection is Apple's highest level of data security. It just means things are end-to-end encrypted. There's no sort of other way through to it other than the person whose data it is. So it's, in a lot of ways it's really advanced, and I think that's why Apple are quite disappointed that it won't be available to its UK users. But again, it's sort of a bigger perspective here from the UK government, and just really this concern for child safety.
Is it implemented already, or is it to be implemented?
So it will be deactivated. Whether it's already been deactivated, I'm not too sure, but it's a very quick and sort of straight away action that's going to be taking place.
Well, so I suppose this has received quite a bit of backlash from people sort of wanting to sort of keep their children safe online. You don't know sort of what's going about anyway, do you?
Yeah, so I think in general people can see both sides to it, but yeah, overall this is what the government's decided, and going forward, Apple users in the UK won't benefit from advanced data protection. But like I said, some of these services, FaceTime, iMessages, will still be protected by end-to-end encryption.
Well, that's quite weird to think about, actually. Was it already in the USA, the advanced data protection,
Yes,
and other places?
We already had it in the UK, have done for a few years, but yeah, it's going to be deactivated.
Sorry, my mistake. I keep getting muddled up. That is really weird to think about. It's such a big thing, such an important story.
Yeah, definitely. But I think as time goes on, technology advances, there are going to be different changes that are made, just for the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much everybody for joining me today in our Winol studio, and thank you everybody for listening. If you would like to check out each of our stories in full, you can check out the Winchester Journalism Instagram page and find our full reels on there. Thank you everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.